Hey party people, Andrew here at GUNSTOCK 2023, hanging out with Stephen, the Barefoot Defender Willeford. You were blessed, some might say, to be present at a time that you were sorely needed. And can you tell me a little bit about what happened?
I don't know that you would call it blessed. Nobody wants
I think a lot of people who were there would.
Well, nobody wants what happened, but somebody started murdering people in the First Baptist Church. And I was at home. And circumstances, I normally would not have been home, but that day I was. And I believe I was called by God, sent over across the street, and engaged an active shooter that had murdered 26 people in my community. And my community is under 600 people total. And I ran across the street, called him out. He came out, he had class 3 body armor, ballistic, bulletproof helmet, multiple loaded guns. I ran across the street barefoot with no shoes on. And people say, really, you didn't take time to put shoes on? I said, you're lucky I had pants on.
You know, we recently I didn't get to be there, but our team got to attend a Protector Mindset course. And I was watching some of the video from that with Josh and the instructor. And one of the things that really stood out to me is they were talking about, as a first responder, as you're rolling up to a scene, do I have time to put my PC on? Do I have time to get my rifle out? And the question was, how much time do I have to prepare? And the instructor was like, how much time do those people in there have?
Exactly. So I was hearing gunshots, and I knew that every one of those shots were aimed at somebody I cared about. And And I've taken the mantle, the Barefoot Defender, because it kind of denotes the urgency to get into the battle. I had to have my rifle, or I would have been unaffected. And thanks to GOA and people that fight this fight to keep our rights, thanks for our Second Amendment that this nation was founded on, I had that ability. And I was confronted with a guy with class 3 body armor and a ballistic bulletproof helmet. And had I run across the street with anything less than an AR-15, I probably would not have been successful and would not be speaking today.
So you ran across the street, you exchanged shots with the man, and then what happened?
He hit the truck in front of me, he shattered the windshield of the car behind me, hit the house. I put 6 out of 6 rounds on him. He was able to get in his vehicle, which parked in the middle of the street with the driver's side door open and the engine running. He was able to get into the vehicle and flee, and I flagged down another Texan that was sitting at a stop sign. I didn't even know his name. It was Johnny Langendorf. I flagged him down, and we gave chase for 11.6 miles before the police say the shooter committed suicide. And I'm okay with that. I truly believe he was coughing up his own blood and dying, but you know, had I not engaged, he would have had time. You know, I'm for the thin blue line. I appreciate our law enforcement. They, by their own account, they were 5 to 7 minutes behind me. And the people in the church didn't have another 5 to 7 minutes. So I would encourage people to come to training events like this. And I want to thank you guys for inviting us here. Get some training, understand your gun, know how to use it, because you are your own first responder. Police are second responders, and I don't mean that with any disrespect.
Well, in the cases that they're able to show up in time, we have seen in sometimes they are not willing to engage with the bad guys, because police are human beings, and some of them are not courageous. Some of them have not received the training that they need. Some of them get conflicting orders from their superiors, and all sorts of things have gotten in the way. And really, honestly, the only thing that we can really for sure rely on is ourselves. And whether that comes to feeding my family or protecting my family, the only person I can count on to do that is me.
As a firearms enthusiast that carries daily, I'm that fire extinguisher, and if the fire comes around, I can put it out.
So what do you carry?
I carry a Springfield Armory Hellcat. It's my everyday carry. People say, "Are you armed right now?" And I look down, I say, "I got pants on, so that must mean that I've got a gun."
I only carry when I'm wearing pants.
Yeah, when I'm around the house and I'm not wearing my pants, no, I'm not carrying. But seriously, so if you're carrying correctly, concealed, nobody knows anyway. And yes, I also have a Kimber Ultra CDP. It's my dress gun. It's absolutely
For
gorgeous.
barbecues?
Huh?
For barbecues?
For my barbecue gun. Actually, when I put on my suit and my white Western hat.
One of the things that I found a bit amusing about the experience we went through is how it is the most Texas thing in the world that a man was driving a pickup truck down the street, saw a barefooted stranger holding a rifle who wants a ride, and he's like, "Sure, get in."
So Johnny had pulled up to the stop sign, and when he pulled up, he saw me and the killer engaged shooting back and forth.
so
And he stopped at the stop sign.
happening in a vacuum.
He pulled up. Johnny was having a great Sunday morning, coming to pick up his girlfriend for a date. And he pulls up to the stop sign and sees me run out of a house and run across the street with an AR-15 and engage somebody coming out of the church. And the shooter had on body armor and everything. He saw me duck behind the truck. He saw the bullets flying. And then when the guy was able to get into his vehicle and speed down the road, I ran in the middle of the street. Last shot, he was about 150 yards away and fleeing. I was standing in the middle of the street. I shot through the back windshield and went through the back of the driver's side seat, hit him right on the left shoulder blade. He topped the hill and out of sight, and I'm standing there in the middle of the street. And then I focused on Johnny's truck because I'm thinking to myself, it just can't end this way. I couldn't believe that this guy was going to get away. And so I ran over and I tapped on the window of Johnny's truck and said, "That guy just shot up the Baptist church and we have to stop him." Now picture that in your mind. You know, every sane man in this world probably would have jammed on the gas and left me sitting, but here in Texas, we're not known for sanity.
For that matter, one of the things that an armed citizen has to be conscious of is how other armed citizens or first responders may view the events and how those other parties are going to determine who's on which side. In that circumstance, he could see that, well, the guy who's trying to run away is probably the bad guy. The guy who's using his words like a grown-up and communicating is probably a good guy. But it could very easily have, had he decided to dismount his vehicle and engage in the fight, who would he choose to engage?
Real honestly, and here's the thing, and this is something everybody needs to think about. If this happens to you, as I ran out of my house, my mind was going 1,000 miles per hour. Because my daughter had just told me, she called 911, they were aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
So as I'm running across the street, my mind's thinking about the first police cruiser that comes to the scene.
Yeah.
And what are they gonna think? The police are coming to a mass shooting and they see this guy running down the street with no shoes on and an AR-15 in his hand. What are the police gonna think? And my solution to that in my head was, the first police cruiser I see, I'm going to toss the rifle. I don't care about that rifle.
Yeah.
I'm going to toss the rifle. I'm going to hit the ground, face down, hands spread out. I'm going to start yelling, he's still in there. And hopefully they'll hear the shots and they'll understand that I'm not the problem. But yes, that's a very real problem. And you know, when you run across the street or when you put yourself out there, that's a very real possibility. But in Sutherland Springs, the police were 5 to 7 minutes behind me. Think about being trapped in a church with a guy he'd already dropped 15 30-round magazines from his rifle and some high capacity or standard capacity magazines from his pistol. In and around the church, it seemed like he had unlimited, and he had more in his vehicle.
Yeah. Well, police departments only have so much money to spend on training, and it's expensive and time-consuming enough to get your average officer out to the range for a basic qualification course, let alone detailed force-on-force training in how to clear structures and close with and destroy the enemy quickly.
So this is a good time maybe to talk about going to a local shooting range and seeing if they have any training, if they have any competition, if they have any things that are going on.
Absolutely. Training is key, and if you're a normal person and you don't have a lot of money and you can't use the taxpayers' money to subsidize it for you, you have to do the best that you can. There's practice and there's training. Training is distinct from practice in that what you do in practice becomes permanent, and that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, but it won't be a good thing unless you have the training to instill the skills that you then practice to become permanent.
I tell people also that if you're just shooting at flat targets on a range, you're practicing marksmanship. However good marksmanship is, it will not prepare you for a real life situation. If you're not moving and shooting in a real life situation, you're the target and you don't know it.
I think, and not to take anything away from classes, because classes are very, very important, but also extremely expensive. A 2-day carbine class is going to put you through 300-400 rounds at least for your primary, and then oftentimes another 50 or 100 rounds for your secondary. The tuition cost is $150-200, maybe more, depending on who's giving the class. That's a pretty substantial financial benefit. But you know what you can do that's way less expensive, not quite as much, not quite as intensive, but a way higher cost to benefit ratio is competition.
Exactly. So I have a new book out. It's called A Town Called Sutherland Springs. It can be picked up at Amazon at A Town Called Sutherland Springs. You can also find it, and I encourage you to go to gunowners.org and sign up, be a member, and you can find my book at gunowners.org.
Stephen, thank you for hanging out and talking to me. It was an absolute pleasure. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you supporting our channel. I wish you guys could be here with us, but you'll make it next year. I love you.